Hey, this is video 2 of photosynthesis. We were talking about ATP, energizing molecules. So what happens to that AMP or that ADP once it runs out of the high energy phosphates? What happens? Well, ATP can be regenerated from ADP when ADP is phosphorylated with a high energy phosphate from another source. So here X is representing our source, just like X would represent something in your algebra classes, okay? So this is a source. It's typically going to be the mitochondria, and you get, you use food to get your energy. So your food that you eat is going to go to the mitochondria, right, in your cells, indirectly, like roundabout way. But you have high energy phosphates there, and what's going to happen is, once again, phosphorylation. So your mitochondria is going to phosphorylate an ADP molecule and transfer over that high energy phosphate, which now, since we have 3, that turns into ATP once again, and it's re-energized. It's kind of like recharging your phone or recharging a battery. We do need an enzyme to help us do this, and this is ATP synthetase. So think synthesize and ACE enzyme. So synthesizing ATP or making ATP. Okay, so to sum up this slide, the transfer of energy in the form of a high energy phosphate is called phosphorylation. Hopefully you see a theme here, guys. Phosphorylation has come up several times already. The enzyme ATP synthetase assists in the reaction, adding the high energy phosphate to ADP to form ATP. Okay. So once again, I said that is food. Your energy is coming from food, guys. So ATP is most often regenerated from ADP in the mitochondria. And the process that's going to regenerate your ATP is called cell respiration. That's where we're going to spend a lot of our time on towards the end of this chapter. As food is burned, your high energy phosphates are produced and added to the ADP to give you ATP. So food has high energy phosphates. Using the process of phosphorylation, we move that high energy phosphate from the food over to your ADP. We use ATP synthetase to make that phosphate move. And your ADP, because it has gained a high energy phosphate, is now ATP. ATP is also regenerated from ADP in a chloroplast, and this is one of the things that photosynthesis does. It's going to get us our ATP. So ATP is also regenerated from ADP in the chloroplast of a plant cell through the process of photosynthesis. Light, which you see here, which is our source, our X, if you will, our light is going to create high energy phosphates. That once again, what's our process? Moving a phosphate around. Phosphorylation again, yes. So phosphorylation is going to move that high energy phosphate to create ATP. And that enzyme, since we're making ATP, we call it ATP synthetase. Okay. So once again, you got to think of ATP as your king of all energy molecules. ADP is like your partially charged battery, your 50%, and AMP is dead battery. You're not getting anywhere. So if ADP is going to recharge, you have to go at partially charged. So ADP partially charged, ATP fully charged, AMP is dead battery.
Welcome to BioVid episode 3. My name is Leslie Samuel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about ATP, what it is, and how it works. Now take a look at this guy. He's preparing for a big match. He's been training, he's been exercising, and doing everything that he needs to do to get ready for that big day. But the question is, how does he get this energy? Well, part of the answer has to do with a small molecule with a big name. And that molecule is adenosine triphosphate, or you can call it ATP for short. Here you can see the A representing adenosine, and you can see 3 P's representing 3 phosphate groups. ATP is a molecule in the cell that allows for quick and easy access to energy when needed by the cell's organelles. In other words, this is the energy currency of the body. When the cell needs energy, it gets it from ATP. It's a type of chemical energy in that it releases energy when the chemical bonds are broken. When the bond is broken between 2 phosphate groups, that releases energy. Let's take a look at how exactly this happens in the cell. Here we have a process, and as you can see, it's in desperate need of some energy. Fortunately, there's ATP that comes along, and when that ATP comes to the process, it breaks the bond between 2 phosphate groups and donates 1 phosphate to that process or that protein or whatever it is that needs that energy. When this happens, the process gets the energy that it needs, and it can then do whatever task it needs to accomplish. Let's get rid of this process for now. And now you can see we are left with 2 phosphate groups, so it's no longer ATP, it's ADP, or adenosine diphosphate. If we want to use this molecule again, we need to recharge it as we would do for a rechargeable battery. In order to do this in the cell, we need a very special organelle called the mitochondria. ADP then goes to the mitochondria, and the ADP gets recharged by the mitochondria adding another phosphate on, and it's now ATP again. So whatever you're doing, whether you're preparing for a big match or just going for a jog, playing some football, or even just spending time with that special someone in the park, it does take energy, and that energy is provided by ATP.
Okay, so you should be able to now, after our little lesson here on ATP, you should be able to fill this in. So you have this paper in your notes, and this is the point in where you would fill this out. So see if you can do it using your notes, and we'll go over in class. So we're going to use the rest of this video to start into photosynthesis, which is our first part. We're going to talk about photosynthesis first, and then we'll get into cell respiration. And photosynthesis is going to occur in 3 major stages, which is why your main notes for this, that is a packet of 3 papers, and they're the ones that you colored the last couple days. So the first 2 stages, the first 2 pages of your packet require light and are therefore called what we call the light-dependent reactions or the light reactions. These guys depend on light. They need light in order to happen. The last stage may occur in light or darkness and is therefore called the light-independent reaction. So it doesn't matter, light, no light, doesn't matter. So we call them dark reactions or light-independent reactions. All 3 of these stages of photosynthesis occur simultaneously. So we're going to talk about them in order, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. However, the process is so quick. It only takes a few seconds for all 3 of these stages to happen. So a few seconds for this whole process that we're going to be spending the next couple days talking about. So keep that in mind. All 3 stages take place on the inner thylakoid membrane of the double membrane chloroplast. Water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight all come from the environment. All other substances are part of the plant chemistry. So I'm going to explain that. This is one of your papers that you have, or at least the top part, okay? So this image here, I'm showing you a plant cell, and all the little green circles you see are chloroplasts. And within those chloroplasts, the green is the chlorophyll. So if we were to take one, and there's thousands, if not millions of chloroplasts in a plant cell. But anyway, so we're going to look at one, and if we zoom in on it, it looks something like this, all right? So you have all these different parts. You have the lamella, which you see here is the green lines you're seeing. It splits here. And the split that you're going to see, the circle, this is called the thylakoid, and this is where most of a lot of our process is happening, and we're going to be looking at that. When you have a stack of thylakoids on top of each other, we call this a granum. And so you have 1, 2, 3 grana here. Grana is the plural of granum. And then all the white you're seeing out here, it's a fluid that we call the stroma. And you're going to see a lot of stuff happening here as well. So we're going to take one of these thylakoids. Now, mind you, the processes that we're talking about, these 3 stages, are happening in every single thylakoid, all right, in every single chloroplast, in every single plant cell, in every single plant. So it's a lot, guys. It's a lot of this happening. All right, so we're zooming in on one of those thylakoids. So you see here, here's the lamella, all right, it splits the thylakoid. And here's all this stuff we're seeing here. We're seeing within this this area here inside the thylakoid, this is called the lumen, the space inside the thylakoid. So within the lumen, you have a lot of water, HOH. That's water, guys, just written differently than you're used to seeing it. We're going to write it like this here because when we go through our stages, it's going to be easier to see what's actually happening. All right, so out here, this is the stroma, okay, this white out here. And out here you see water, you see hydrogen, you see NADP, ADP, enzymes, carbon dioxide, RUDP, more enzymes. So there's a lot of stuff. So we said that what is coming from the environment? Plants are going to get carbon dioxide from the environment, which you see here, and it's going to get water from the environment, which you see here and here. Everything else is already inside the plant. So if you're wondering, where did this hydrogen ion come from? Where did NADP come from? Where did this ADP or these enzymes come from? For our purposes, guys, it's already in the plant. So carbon dioxide, sunlight, and water are all coming from the environment. Everything else is already there. It's already set up for us. All right. So that means we're going to be getting into the stages of photosynthesis. I'm going to start a new video, just have all of our stages in one video. So continue on to video 3.